I'm Chris Hopkins from Toombs County. About 2,000 acres of row crops. Of that, about 1,300 acres of that is cotton, about 450 peanuts, and the balance in corn. We had approximately 300 acres of cotton defoliated. When this came, we were able to get about 60 acres of that picked ahead of this storm. The remaining balance of that has been defoliated, as you can imagine, is just an absolute mess. I don't know that it will ever even be pickable. The rest of this, as you can see behind me, was some of the last that we planted and some of the last to come up. And so the jury's still out. As you can see, it's broken limbs, it's whipped, it has this red tint to it. So we're not sure. Only time will tell here. If you go back a week ago, this cotton crop had the normal color as it should. As you can see, we were beginning to open bolls. A week ago, we were probably on average out here, I would say 20% open bolls. We typically are looking for at least a 60% minimum open boll to harvest or to begin our defoliation process. So I would say we were probably 2 to 2.5, 3 weeks away from defoliating this crop. As you can see, a very heavy boll load on this crop. But now you can see all these, and you can see the natural abscission layer just forming as these leaves are beginning to fall off and upsize now. And I don't know if we'll have enough energy to finish out these bolls and harvest this crop. You can see here's maybe a non-windward side of a plant, and you can see the traditional color this plant was in comparison to what you're seeing now, this deep reddened off, damaged foliage, damaged bolls laid over plants that if anyone's ever ran a cotton picker knows that trying to feed that into the head of a cotton picker is going to be just almost impossible to do. And so you do see, to the average untrained eye, you would begin to see the wide open bolls. You would think that this crop is okay and is gonna see it to the end, and that is still ultimately our prayer. But the truth is, we don't know if those unopened bolls will ever even make it to a mature boll status, as some of these are still not. They needed 2.5 more weeks of heat units and photosynthesis and being fed by those leaves. The second part of that is all these bolls that you see white, that now, as you know, that is not a traditional healthy boll. You can see all the staining of the lint that's gone in there where it's beat and packed in there. There's no picker capable of getting all of that, as you know, out of there. It's gonna string that and pull it apart. It's not like a traditional boll. We went from as an agricultural community, and as all people in this community, we went from the wee hours of the night, Thursday night, Friday morning, from wondering if we would wake up to have a crop to harvest. Wonder if we would be able to continue to harvest this crop as we had started just a few days before, to praying for daylight and praying that our families would just be there and our homes would be there. And for some people, it was not that fortunate, whether it was loss of life or loss of home. They were not as fortunate. The vast majority was fortunate enough to wake up to a home, be it in lots of need of repair, and a healthy family. But we turned our focus away from our crop for 2 or 3 days, and we began to focus on getting people out of their homes, clearing paths so people could get out of their home and get the necessary amenities that they needed to sustain life, getting generators brought to people, wells hooked up so people could have potable water to drink, they could have water to flush toilets, water to shower, and just do traditional cleaning needs that was needed. And so we focused our efforts and our equipment on that. And now, as we are beginning to get some of those needs met, thankfully, by some wonderful, gracious people from outside of the affected area that have sacrificed their time, money, and resources to bring us those needed items, we now are beginning to get to these fields and look at these crops and assess the damage and decide if we can even get in here to get this harvested, and if so, when, and do we even have the resources available to get these peanuts up and dried and in a warehouse and get this cotton picked and ginned and transported and highways cleared to get it to and from. All the things that we take for granted every day have been jeopardized by this hurricane. Our immediate community, most importantly, we need your prayers and support to help see us through this. I'm not taking it lightly or mean it sarcastic, but just to maintain sanity and to get through this. Obviously, gasoline is a very important commodity to us right now. As most homes have a generator running, or people swapping a generator back and forth between neighbors to try to save freezers so that people do have cold items to keep in the refrigerator, water to drink, food in the freezers. Have been able to get a few gas stations up in the county and going. Thankfully, Georgia Power and our local Omaha EMC have been very working around the clock to get that going for us. And so we do have some gas. Of course, it's limited and long lines to get it. So from outside the area, you know, people that can bring gas and some just basic supplies. It's a unique situation, and every day it's evolving, and every 10 hours we realize there's some need that we had forgotten about, that you take for granted that you have in your life every day, that all of a sudden you realize that now becomes a need, or was a need, you just didn't realize it. But above and beyond everything else, you know, we just need prayers for those people that are most affected.